Hey everyone, so I come to you with a bit of a different video. I don't normally do TBRs because I'm terrible at holding two TBRs. However, it's just been a long time since I've made just either a wrap-up or a Friday Reads or anything like that, and because I've been so wrapped up in ShakeTube, and the other videos that I have done that haven't been ShakeTube have been different kinds of videos, and so I wanted to do one of those videos, but I wasn't really prepared to do a whole September wrap-up. I actually did read quite a bit in September outside of ShakeTube, which was really nice, and I read a lot of interesting stuff, and I'm not quite sure whether I'm gonna do a September wrap-up because a lot of it was so interesting, and I have so much to say about a lot of different things. I'm not sure I would be able to do a lot of the books justice in a wrap-up. So I'll have to see what I do about that, whether I bother or whether I just continue on with making other videos rather than doing a wrap-up. But anyway, I thought that I would do this just to check in, let you know what I'm going to be reading in October, because I do have 4 buddy reads, and so that means that I will sort of, it will be a guarantee that I actually read these, so, that sort of eliminates my usual issues with TBRs, and they're all buddy reads I'm excited for, so I also just wanted to talk about that. And I also have a few books that I know I'm going to be working on in October, which doesn't mean I'm going to be finishing them all, but they will be books I'll be working on. I am not going to be participating in Victober. Every year Victober happens, and I think, that would be great to participate in because I haven't read that much Victorian literature, and it's kind of a big gap in my reading, but it just seems like it's never a good time. It seems like I always have some other buddy reads going on, or like I suddenly started, 800-page modernist novel or something, or whatever. So one of these days I will dive into Victober, but it's not going to be this year, unfortunately. But anyway, I have a lot of great books I am going to be reading this month, and these aren't by any means all the books I'm going to be reading this month. I imagine I will read others, but that I will leave up to the mood reader in me. So the first buddy read that I will be starting on the 1st of the month is Walden by Henry David Thoreau, if that actually comes into focus. So, yeah, I'm going to be buddy reading this with Sharon Goforth, who is a commenter and also had a channel for a while, although I think her videos have gone private now. But, yeah, she has an Instagram and a Twitter and everything, and she's a huge reader, and we've done a couple other buddy reads, and I'm really looking forward to this, because buddy reading with Sharon is a lot of fun, but also this is a book I've wanted to get to for a really long time. It's just one of those big American classics that I have wanted to read for donkey's years, and I will be finally getting to it. And I've heard really great things about it as a piece of nature writing, and about its just writing in general. Yeah, and the Transcendentalists, it's very important, as I understand it, in the sort of Transcendentalist movement, which is a literary movement that I really want to know better than I do. So, anyway, yeah, that's the first one. The second buddy read that I will be starting on the 1st of the month is John Brown Abolitionist by David Reynolds, and the subtitle for this book is The Man Who Killed Slavery, Sparked the Civil War, and Ceded Civil Rights. And this is gonna be a buddy read with Patrice Jones, who is a commenter whom many of you will know, I'm sure. She and I have done several buddy reads now, and we have a lot of fun reading together, and we read some fascinating books, and yeah, John Brown is such a fascinating character, and we will be making our way through, well, he's not a character, he's a historical person, but you know what I mean. But anyway, we'll be making our way through this book, which is quite large. It's not the biggest biography I've ever seen. It's 500 pages, about. But we're going to be taking it slowly, probably take the whole month to read it, maybe even longer than October. We're going to be checking in after each chapter, and really looking forward to that. That should be interesting. Alright, and then another buddy read that I'll be starting very shortly after the beginning of the month, but not on the 1st of the month, is Memories of a Catholic Girlhood by Mary McCarthy, which is a memoir of Mary McCarthy's childhood. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Mary McCarthy. She's a novelist. She was a literary critic. She wrote kind of a lot of things in her life. She wrote travel writing as well. And yeah, I read one of her other memoirs earlier this year called Intellectual Memoirs, which was kind of about her in her, I think, early to mid-20s. And so it'll be interesting to kind of go backwards in time in her life and read about her childhood a little bit. And I'm buddy reading this with Britta Bowler, yeah, Britta has read a lot more Mary McCarthy than me, so it'll be interesting to read her with that for that reason, and just because I enjoy buddy reads with Britta anyway. Yeah, should be an interesting book. And then the final buddy read that I have, it won't start till around the middle of the month. This is Letters to Milena by Franz Kafka. The cat is attacking my arm. This is Letters to Milena by Franz Kafka. And this is a collection of letters that he wrote to a woman whom he was in love with for much of his life, whom Franz Kafka obviously was in love with for much of his life. And I'm going to be buddy reading this with Mark Nash. We are both very interested in Kafka, and we had a buddy read of Rainer Maria Rilke earlier this year that we both enjoyed buddy reading together very much. And we're going to be beginning this around the middle of the month. So this was something that will be, that we'll wait till the middle of the month. But yeah, so we're not quite sure what pace we're going to go at with this. But anyway, yeah, we'll be reading that. That'll actually only be the second Kafka I'll ever have read. The only other Kafka I've read is the Barnes & Noble Classics collection of some of his short stories. It's just called The Metamorphosis and Other Stories. So, yeah, it'll only be my second Kafka, which is a little crazy. But anyway, I'm hoping that it should be, impetus for me to get more into his larger body of work probably next year. Anyway, those are the buddy reads. I also have some other books that I think I'll be working on this month. And the first one is one that I'm already halfway through, and that's this edition that doesn't tell you very much, but this is The Art of Love by Ovid, the Roman poet. Ovid's Metamorphoses is one of my favorite books ever, and probably my favorite book from ancient Rome. But I haven't read anything else by Ovid, really. I've read a few of his short poems and such, but not very much else. And this includes his work called the Ars Amatoria, which is sort of supposed to be this, it's this long poem where he's sort of teaching people how to engage in love affairs, sort of. In particular, it's supposed to be directed at, I think, young men. And a lot of it is supposed to be, tongue-in-cheek, as I understand it. But this volume includes that, as well as a few of his other shorter works. As well as his Amores, which is just his short love poems. But yeah, I'm already halfway through it. I finished the section that's the Amores, and I'm now into the part that's actually the Art of Love. So I'll be working on that. The next one that I just started yesterday is The Lives of the Great Composers by Harold Schoenberg. And yeah, this is a really good book to read sort of piecemeal, which is what I intend to do. So it may take me a while to get through. But yeah, each chapter of this book is sort of an overview of the life and work of a composer, or sometimes two composers, sometimes three as well. And so it's easy to read piecemeal like that, because each chapter is sort of its own self-contained piece. And yeah, and I'm really, really into reading about musicians and composers at the moment. So this seemed like the natural book to pick up, even though it is huge, and I probably don't technically have the time for it, but anyway, I'm enjoying it so far. I've read the first two chapters on Claudia Monteverdi and Johann Sebastian Bach, and I really love them both. So I think I'll really enjoy this. But yeah, it's something that I will probably finish either by the end of the year or possibly even next year. But anyway, I think I will really enjoy it. So yeah, I'll be working on that this month, and probably for the rest of the year. And my final book that I want to bring up here is The Divine Comedy, and I'm holding up two editions. This is the Modern Library edition, which is absolutely beautiful, which has the translation by Alan Mandelbaum, along with an introduction by Eugenio Montal and footnotes by Alan Mandelbaum as well. And then this is the translation by H.F. Carey, and it's in a much less beautiful Wordsworth Classics edition, although it does have a cool William Blake painting on the front. But so I've read this translation. It's a modern translation. It's really, really good. I read it last year and really liked it. This is an older translation from I believe the 19th century, and the H.F. Carey translation interests me because it's the translation that a lot of the English Romantic poets, like John Keats and possibly William Blake himself, would have read, and so it interests me for that reason. But the reason I'm holding up them both is because I think I may just go with the Alan Mandelbaum again, even though I've already read it, because I kind of like the idea of just familiarity and comfort, and I feel like I'll get more of that with a translation that I've already read and already liked a lot. And so I may decide to go with the Alan Mandelbaum, or I may decide to be adventurous and go with the H.F. Carey. Or who knows, maybe I can sort of do them both. I don't know, maybe I can like sample from the H.F. Carey as I read the Alan Mandelbaum, or the other way around or something. I don't know. But anyway, one of these two versions I will read. And my intention reading the Divine Comedy this time around is to finish it in a month. And I'm reading it in October because I really like the idea of turning a reread of the Divine Comedy in October into a kind of yearly thing, because I feel like it's such a good spooky read, especially the Inferno with, like, you know, all the gratuitous torture and, you know, hellfire and damnation going on. It's just a really good spooky read, and it's a good book to reread a lot because it has a lot of layers to it. And what I want to do this year when I reread it is I'm going to sort of read the three canticles, the Inferno, the Purgatorio, and the Paradiso, in parallel with each other. So what you can do with the Divine Comedy is read the first canto of the Inferno, which is sort of a standalone thing. That's why the Inferno has 34 cantos, whereas the Purgatorio and the Paradiso have 33 cantos each. So you read the first canto of the Inferno on its own, because it's sort of a standalone thing that sets up the whole rest of the comedy. And then you read the second canto of the Inferno, the first canto of the Purgatorio, and the first canto of the Paradiso, all in parallel. And then you continue like that. So you would go to the third Inferno, the second of the other two, and continue. Because there are these sort of echoes and parallels and mirror images between the three canticles in each canto, and so you can sort of read the comedy in that way, and that's how I intend to read it this time around, and I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be super interesting. I don't know what it will reveal, if anything, but if nothing else, it'll just be a sort of fun new way to spice things up, I suppose. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm planning to read this month. So, you know, let me know what you're planning to read in October, and if you're planning to participate in Victober, then good for you. I wish I were joining you, but, you know, I have lots of buddy reads, and I don't know, I may grab a Victorian book. I do have a couple shorter ones on my shelf that I could read, but, again, I am not one for, like, hard TBRs, except in the case of buddy reads, and with a few random exceptions, like the ones that I talked about here. So, anyway, hope you're all having a decent weekend. I hope you all have a good week. I hope you are all having happy reading, or if not happy reading, then good reading, if it's depressing reading. I don't know. But, anyway, I will leave it at that, and, yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.